You're coming to find me now, which means you want to reconcile? I stood at the door of my office, my gaze cold, a slight smile on my lips, watching Jason stand in front of me. He was wearing a shabby suit, his eyes filled with sorrow, looking like a man who had lost everything. Seeing his frail figure, I couldn't help but let out a sneer. Do you really think I'll forgive you? I asked coldly. Jason, you didn't just betray me, you pushed yourself into the abyss. What you lost isn't just me, it's you. Jason stood there, empty-handed, seemingly ready to explain himself, but he couldn't say anything. His eyes were dull, a man who had completely fallen. I turned away, walking back into my office with determination. I've moved on from the past, moving toward a future that belongs to me, and you are no longer a part of my life. With the sound of the door slamming shut, I heard Jason's low voice from the other side. Sarah, please, give me one more chance. I took a deep breath, forcing myself not to look back. I had once given up everything for him, but today, I was going to make him understand that real strength never relies on anyone. Flashback to a few months ago, on that sunny afternoon. I thought today would be a turning point in my career, the moment where all my hard work over the last 6 months would finally pay off. The office was filled with excitement as my team, and I prepared for the most important project proposal. Our boss, was personally reviewing it, and everyone hoped that this proposal would bring unprecedented breakthroughs for the company. This is going to succeed, I silently told myself, knowing that this project was the key to advancing my career. But I didn't anticipate that fate would turn on a small detail. A few days later, boss suddenly called me into his office. I opened the door and saw him standing by his desk, his face dark, holding the proposal I had submitted. Sarah, there's a problem with this proposal. What problem? I froze. Look, the data part is clearly wrong. Especially the market forecast. This result doesn't match the reality at all, boss said sharply, pointing at the screen. How did you make this? My heart sank. I opened my file to check that page of data and I froze. This wasn't my mistake, the data had been tampered with. I couldn't believe it. The proposal I had worked so hard on had been altered at the last minute. Boss's face showed disappointment. This project is no longer suitable for you, Sarah. Let Nora handle it. What? My mind went blank, unable to stop myself from asking why. But the ominous feeling in my heart only grew stronger. I dragged myself home, hoping to find comfort in Jason's arms. It was my birthday today, and I had hoped we could spend this special day together. But then he told me, Sarah, I've made up my mind. We're breaking up. When I heard those words, my world collapsed instantly. I stared at Jason in disbelief, my heart filled with questions and anger. What are you saying? How can you break up with me on my birthday? I don't love you anymore. Sarah, we have no future, he said without hesitation. My heart was torn apart. I couldn't believe it, how casually he made that decision. All my efforts, all my devotion were nothing in his eyes. That day, I sat in a quiet little restaurant with my best friend Amy. Although the blows from work and my relationship were almost suffocating, I still tried to act normal, forcing myself to chat with her to take my mind off things. We talked about lighthearted topics, occasionally laughing, although my mind was elsewhere. The menu on the table, the red wine in my glass, everything around me seemed unfamiliar, like each passing second reminded me. I had been betrayed, everyone I trusted had betrayed me. As I looked down at my plate, suddenly, Amy's voice broke the moment of silence. Sarah, look over there. Isn't that ... I raised my head and followed her gaze, my eyes involuntarily stopping at a table in the corner of the restaurant. At that moment, my whole world seemed to collapse. There, Jason was sitting with Nora. They were sitting so close, laughing so naturally. Their intimate posture made my heart tighten, and I could hardly breathe. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Jason was with Nora. At my most vulnerable, when I needed support the most, he was having such a deep relationship with this woman. I never thought that Jason had tampered with my proposal data. He had been with my rival, Nora, all along. My mind went blank, and it felt like the world had stopped. I never expected that the two people I trusted the most would collude and betray me. I forced myself to stay calm and whispered to Amy, "Let's go." Seeing my expression, she immediately got up and followed me. As we left the restaurant, I couldn't help but stop, my heart pounding violently. The scene of Jason and Nora's closeness echoed in my mind, as if mocking all my efforts and trust. I took a deep breath, turned, and walked toward the parking lot, Amy right behind me. Once in the car, I looked at the neon lights in the distance, and the flames of anger started to burn within me. I know you're upset right now, but you can't give up on yourself, Amy comforted me softly. I lowered my head, pressed my lips together, and suddenly smiled. Upset? No, I just see things more clearly now. You mean Jason and Nora? Amy asked hesitantly. I nodded, my eyes flashing with determination. I once thought I couldn't change anything, but now I know I can't keep going like this. I won't let them get away with it. Jason betrayed me. Nora betrayed me. Every bit of pain, every ounce of trust, turned into anger. The old me might have drowned in emotional turmoil, crying and regretting, but the new me, I was no longer that weak Sarah. They must pay for their betrayal, I said softly, my gaze sharp and calm. I realized my path of revenge had only just begun. Whether in the workplace or emotionally, I would never be the wounded, lost woman again. I would make them understand the cost of betraying me, the price they couldn't afford to pay. When I got home that night, the image of Jason and Nora's intimacy kept replaying in my mind. My heart felt as if it were being pricked with needles, pain spreading from deep inside, but I knew I couldn't let this pain consume me. Instead, I would turn this pain into power, using it to fuel my revenge plan. That night, I sat at my desk and opened my notebook. I had never been this determined before, the whole plan laid out like a chessboard, each move carefully calculated. I realized that revenge wasn't just a simple retaliation, it was a well-planned victory. What I need first is power, I whispered to myself, beginning to think about how to regain my advantage in the workplace. I couldn't rely solely on my opponent's mistakes. I had to win back my boss's and colleagues' trust through my own efforts. I analyzed my situation and realized the only way to regain control of my career was to break up Nora and Jason's relationship, making them feel pressure at the very core. Step 1. I need to let Nora know her secrets will be exposed sooner or later. I quickly formed a plan in my mind. Nora had many professional flaws, especially in financial management. She had some undisclosed accounts, and some of her past financial adjustments were flawed. If I could expose these materials, it would deal a fatal blow to her. As for Jason, even though he betrayed me emotionally, he was still my biggest pawn. To crush Nora completely, I had to find a way to make him reflect on his actions and pull him away from her. I have to make them completely separate, not just in their career, but also in their relationship, I muttered, my fingers lightly tapping on the table, my mind planning the next move. The next day, I began the first step of my revenge, re-entering the workforce and regaining the dignity and position I had lost. I landed a new project within the company, though it wasn't as big as the one I had previously handled, but it was an opportunity to prove my abilities. I knew if I could do this well, all the doubts and rejections would disappear and I would have a fresh start. During the meeting, I presented my proposal with clear and precise ideas, demonstrating my leadership and capability. When the meeting ended, boss stood up and gave me a thumbs up. Sarah, it seems you've really learned a lot from your mistakes. Nice job, let's continue working together. Though I smiled on the surface, inside, I was filled with confidence and determination. I knew my revenge plan had quietly begun. My professional comeback would be the first step of my retaliation. As I gradually regained stability in my career, I began to implement my plan for emotional revenge. I sent Jason a text message, simple and direct. We need to talk. This time, I was no longer the woman who would blindly cater to him. My goal was clear, to solve the issues between us with rationality, and to make him understand that the cost of betraying me was irreversible. He replied, "What do you want to talk about?" "We can meet and talk," I responded, my mind calm. That evening, Jason and I met at a cafe. When he sat down and saw me, there was a hint of unease in his eyes. "Sarah, why did you suddenly contact me?" "You know why?" I looked at him, my tone calm. "I already know about your relationship with Nora." His face immediately turned pale, clearly not expecting me to bring it up directly. "Did you think I'd never find out?" I sneered, staring at him. "Do you think I'm so stupid that I'd let you two play me for a fool?" Jason fell silent for a moment, seemingly trying to come up with an excuse. "Sarah, We what?" I interrupted him. "You betrayed me, and you betrayed yourself. Now, you're no longer anyone in my life." "I know I was wrong, Sarah. I really regret it," he said. I looked at him coldly. Regret? It's too late. I stood up and turned to leave, giving him only my back and the wound he would never be able to mend. As my plan progressed, I gradually increased the pressure on Nora and Jason. Every step was calculated and precise. I intended not only to make them fail in their careers, but also to gradually create cracks in their relationship. I knew the path of revenge wouldn't be smooth, but I was fully prepared. This time, I was not only going to restore my dignity, but I was also going to make them pay the price for betraying me and watch them crumble. After regaining my position in the workplace and steadily progressing towards success, I realized that Nora's true nature was finally coming to the surface. Not only had she set traps in the workplace, nearly causing me to fall into trouble, but she was also squandering Jason's wealth in their relationship. She took advantage of Jason's love and ignorance, living a luxurious life, with every penny seemingly pulled from his pocket. Jason had once focused all his attention on her, but Nora had never truly cherished him. She not only took from him without remorse but also relentlessly drained him of all his wealth. But clearly, Nora wasn't satisfied with that. When she realized Jason could no longer provide her with more benefits, she staged a sick mother in the hospital drama and borrowed a large sum of money from him. Jason, moved by her appearance of suffering, eventually gave her all his savings. However, after borrowing the money, Nora mysteriously disappeared. She vanished without a trace, leaving no message behind. Jason immediately found himself in deep trouble, all the money in her hands, and nothing to show for it. He could no longer bear the loss and shame, falling into despair. The luxurious life he once had, the power and respect, all collapsed in that moment. All that Nora left him with was loneliness and poverty. Jason's life was completely ruined. From once being an influential man, he quickly fell into an abyss of nothingness. The wealth he had squandered on Nora became his greatest regret. Life was no longer glamorous. Even the most basic conditions for survival were becoming difficult. He began to realize that he had not only betrayed me, but had also betrayed everything he had once possessed. Once, all the beauty and happiness had been by his side, but now everything had turned to dust. Finally, he decided to find me, trying to make up for his past mistakes, pleading for my forgiveness. One cold afternoon, Jason appeared at my office. He looked haggard, his eyes filled with endless regret and fatigue. "Sarah," his voice was low and hoarse. "I've lost everything. I was wrong. Please, give me a chance to start over." Looking at him, I felt no emotion. The old me might have softened, might have been swayed by our past feelings, but now, I was no longer the woman who needed to depend on him or live for him. I looked at him, my gaze cold and firm. "Jason, you didn't just betray me, you pushed yourself into the abyss. You don't deserve any more chances from me." His face turned pale instantly, as if he could feel the coldness in my words. "You once lost me, but now, you've lost yourself," I said in a flat tone, but every word felt like a nail driven into his heart. He kneeled in front of me, trying once again to seek my forgiveness, but I decisively rejected him. I didn't give him any chance. I only looked at him coldly. "Leave, Jason. Everything you've lost can never be regained." As Jason left my office, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. I once thought that only revenge could calm the pain inside me, but now, I realized that true relief came from self-redemption. I no longer depended on past pain, nor would I allow myself to be bound by betrayal and mistakes. Revenge was complete, but I no longer obsessed over punishing those who hurt me. What truly set me free was reclaiming my own strength and dignity. Nora disappeared, and Jason had fallen into ruin. As for me, standing at the center of this storm, I felt a clarity I had never known. The Sarah of the past, the girl who had been weak because of love, no longer existed. The woman I was today was a completely new version of myself, in control of my future and destiny. I smiled slightly, finally understanding that all the betrayal and pain had been the catalysts that led me to independence and self-discovery. Behind the revenge, what truly made me stronger was my personal growth, and this process was the victory I was most proud of. So, no matter how much betrayal and pain you've experienced, believe me, you deserve a better future. All the hurt and tears will become the fuel to drive you forward, leading you to a stronger version of yourself. Have you ever experienced betrayal and hurt? If so, how did you step out of the shadows and reclaim your power? I believe everyone has their own story of revenge. Feel free to share your story in the comments below, and let's cheer each other on. If you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I will continue bringing you more exciting stories about emotions and personal growth. I look forward to sharing more stories with you next time. Remember to stay strong and always believe in yourself.